Welcome to the Mindset Mile podcast, the show that'll leave you empowered to take action towards becoming the turned up version of your already awesome self. I'm your host, Aisha Zaza, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? We use Transistor to publish each episode of the Mindset Mile, and they help us distribute it to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. They also give us stats on all the episodes. It's the best and easiest way to manage your podcast. I personally love the user-friendly dashboard, and then I could see which episodes listeners are loving through the download analytics. It helps me get an idea for what to create for future episode topics. Our listeners can get 15% off your first year when you sign up at transistor.fm/mindsetmile. Again, that's transistor.fm/mindsetmile for 15% off your first year. Hey guys and gals, Happy New Year. I don't know about you, but I kind of have mixed emotions at the start of a new year. I love it because it's like a Monday on steroids, and I love that get after it attitude, which is kind of funny because our whole lives and future are obviously a blank slate that we can adopt this mentality about. But because we follow time by a calendar year that was decided for us thousands and thousands of years ago, it creates this break in time that feels very symbolic and hopeful for new possibilities and growth. But on the flip side, I'm a very nostalgic person, and just kind of it gives me some feels to bid the previous year adieu. It feels like I'm stowing away another little time capsule, and from now on, I'm just going to be moving further and further away from it. Some of you are like, yeah, I absolutely can't wait to move as far away from 2021 as I can. But there are always moments or trips or milestones that make me feel nostalgic. It's like this sobering reality that time just passes so fast. And I always want to make sure that I'm being as present as possible so I don't end up stowing away a blip in time that got away from me. Anyway, I digress. I'm sure some of you can relate, but since we mentioned getting after it, I want to start this year by talking about limiting beliefs. You may have heard this story before, but I feel like it's so applicable to today's topic. I just have to open with this and share. Prior to 1954, no one had ever run a 4-minute mile. It was considered impossible. There were doctors and scientists that came out and deemed this feat physically impossible because in an attempt to do so, a person's heart would explode, they said. So up until that point, no one had done it because everyone believed it was just impossible. And then in 1954, there was a guy named Roger Bannister who broke the world record and did the impossible when he ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds. This is truly the holy grail of athletic achievement, and people's minds were absolutely blown. I mean, it's crazy. Like, if you've ever attempted a mile PR, you know that that's absolutely insane. But here's what's crazier. Within 3 years of Bannister's feat, 15 more people would go on to run a mile in under 4 minutes. And it wasn't because all of a sudden mankind evolved as a species and we had different lung capacity or larger hearts to pump oxygen and blood through the body quicker. Richard Bannister shattered a universal mental barrier that a 4-minute mile could not be run because people were told it was impossible. Like, think about that. The authorities, i.e. doctors and scientists who were considered experts, deemed this to be impossible. So it was believed to be impossible. But then someone did it. And then because people knew it was possible, they themselves believed they too could do it. I mean, we have so many examples of this in our history. Flying a plane, landing on the moon. I mean, just pick up a Guinness World Book of Records and you will see that our species is wildly capable of many things that seemed impossible. So I want to ask you, what's your 4-minute mile? What story are you telling yourself that is keeping you from going after what you want because you believe that story to be true? Do you believe that you aren't smart enough because that's what you've consistently told yourself over the years? Do you believe success just isn't in your cards? Do you believe you're too old to learn or start something new because that's just what you've told yourself? We're very quick to question the truth, right? We read something online and think, oh, that can't be true. Or we see a video on Facebook or Instagram and think, oh, that obviously isn't true. We hear someone telling a story, or we watch a movie, or we hear a podcast or an interview, and we question, this probably isn't true, right? Yet, we rarely, if ever, question the limiting beliefs we think about ourselves. We get so used to hearing our own limiting beliefs that we can't even identify that they are only a thought and a perceived barrier, because after so long, we trick our brains into thinking that they are true. That's how a self-perpetuating cycle works. We think the thought, and then we think it again and again and again until eventually we start to believe that that thought is evidence of the truth. And here are some ones that I hear and see people tell themselves all the time. They say, oh God, I'm so stupid, or I could never do anything right. I'm not lovable. I don't deserve it. I'm never going to make enough money. I'm not worth it. What are you telling yourself that's keeping you from the relationship that you want, the job you want, the shape you want to be in, from the life you want? What are you telling yourself is impossible? Everything will feel impossible until it's done. It will feel impossible until you do it. You know, when I was pregnant with my daughter at first, I was so upset. And I shared this story in a previous episode before, so I won't get into the full details, but it felt like my life as I knew it was over. I felt like I was never going to have enough energy to do anything again. And I thought I'd never have the time to do anything for myself or run any races or start any businesses. I thought my marriage was going to go down the drain. I was so scared that I was always going to feel frustrated and tired and drained. And I was scared that because of those things, I wouldn't make a great mom. I was going into uncharted waters, and there was just so much uncertainty around what everything was going to look like. And it just made me so anxious. And something my therapist asked, she goes, Aisha, how did you run your marathon never having ran a marathon before? And I said, well, I found a program online. I followed it to a T. I ran every time I was supposed to run. And she goes, so you found a training program, stuck to the program, then ran the marathon, never having run a marathon, and then you finished it, right? I said, yeah. And she goes, that's proof. You have to look for proof of things you've done in your life that felt impossible or that you were scared to do, and you actually did it. There's plenty of evidence and examples in your life that should serve as proof that you can do things without experience and actually do them well and figure it out as you go, just like you will motherhood. This example gave me such relief because she pointed me to actual truth, not a story that I was telling myself. She pointed me to truth, that I was capable of doing things I'd never done before. So I want to challenge you. Let's fact check your limiting beliefs that you're buying. If a story that you're telling yourself is that you're unlovable, I want you to recall a person in your life that was or is madly in love with you, unconditionally. If the story you're telling yourself is that you're stupid, I want you to think of a time you earned a certificate or a degree or passed a test. Doesn't matter how long ago it was. If you think you're unworthy, I want you to think of a time in your life where you got a promotion or got a job or someone gifted you something without you knowing and having a gift for them in return. You earned that promotion or that job because you deserved it. Someone gifted you something because they think you are worthy of giving to. If you think most of your goals are impossible, I want you to think of something very challenging in your life that you got past and overcame. I need you to debunk your limiting beliefs because your best life and self is waiting. It doesn't mean that you will have perfect confidence every time a thought or limiting belief challenges you, but at least you know that there is proof of the truth. There's proof that what you're saying is impossible is not impossible. What I'm about to say is pretty straightforward, but you are in control of your life. Your potential is unlimited. I know you may have gone a long time thinking that you don't have the potential, but we just went through like 10 examples that are proof that you do. And this isn't a one and done thing. You're going to need to recall the real truth every time a limiting belief comes up. So don't get discouraged if you default to what you've always thought and said to yourself. That's just natural. That's habit. But we're talking about a lifetime of ingrained perceived truth that we need to undo. But the good news is you can see the results right away by simply acknowledging that your thoughts about yourself are just that. They're thoughts. Once you become aware of them and say, okay, brain, or give the thoughts a name like, okay, Karen, that's appropriate. I know you don't take any days off from backseat driving, but you don't have the steering wheel. Karen, you are driving, my friend. You are. You have the steering wheel. Your 4-minute mile is waiting. If you love this episode, please share it on your Instagram and tag me at Aisha Zaza and share it with a friend. My mission is to make a difference in as many lives as possible, and you help me make that possible by sharing the podcast. I appreciate you so much. Until next time, Happy New Year and make it a great day.